Hello, everyone, and happy Thursday. Normally, I do this show. My name is Catherine Nunez, and I'm the host of The Art of Inspired Selling. And today we have a special guest to us coming live from New York, and we changed the time up just a bit because we're flexible like that, right? You can't get just set in stone. You want to be able to show your guests in the best limelight possible. So the Art of Inspired Selling is a long show format where I look for 6 and 7 figure business owners that are doing something inspirational that can help bring information to you, my audience, B2B service-based entrepreneurs. And I want to deliver valuable information to you so that you are not just surviving, you're actually thriving. As I mentioned, my name is Catherine Evans Nunez. I've dropped Evans and it's still a habit, but I'm here today. We're streaming live on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. We're everywhere you want to be. Today, my guest name is Brian Freed, and he is an inventor, and I'm going to read his bio. It's a little bit different. So I started thinking about this great resignation that's happening. And people are starting to reach for a more meaningful life. They're wanting to do things that they might not have thought about doing in the past. And everybody seems to have some invention that they think they want to do, right? There's this idea, I can make a better mousetrap. I should have thought of that. Dang, they saw my idea and somebody already did it. So I wanted to bring somebody to you that can help talk you through some of the things. The 3 top things we're going to talk about today is how to come up with an idea, what to do next, and how to make money with your idea. So meet my guest, Brian Freed. He's a serial inventor with many of his own inventions reaching audiences through mass retail, infomercials, home shopping channels, catalogs, and online retailers through licensing and manufacturing. He's the author of Inventing Secrets Revealed and You and Your Big Ideas. He has been featured in the media, including the New York Times, Inc. magazine, Newsday, CBS News, Food Network, WPIX11. Brian hosted Got Invention Radio, interviewing high-profile guests, including the U.S. Patented Trademark Office, Lori Greiner from ABC Shark Tank, and over 150 other interviews. He mentors and represents individual inventors, celebrities at all stages of the invention process, providing feedback, product development, licensing, representation, turnkey solutions to make ideas reality. He's considered an authority and advocate for inventors within the invention community and requested as a guest speaker on innovation and invention at major trade shows, government agencies, schools, and libraries. So you can find Brian on his website. You can find him on LinkedIn, which is where I found him. He's Chief Invention Officer at Inventor Smart, the parent company of the Got Invention Show, Inventor Class, Inventor Mart, and National Inventor Club. Guys, the website for that is the nationalinventorclub.com. You can join. We'll talk a little bit more about it. But without further ado, I'm going to bring my guest on. Hi.
How you doing, Catherine? Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. It's so nice to have you here. And you know, here's the other thing, you guys. We tried to make this happen. I took some time off. I feel like I haven't done a show in forever. I took a little bit of time off to be with my son. And as it should be, the live show didn't work out. And I shouldn't have, because I was dedicated to spending time with my son, uninterrupted time. And that was one of his biggest complaints, is that when we go on vacation, I tend to do everything instead of just give him time, which is our biggest asset, right? So, Brian, tell me where you're coming live from today.
From Long Island, New York. And I have to say that without the heavy Long Island accent.
Yes. Long Island, yes.
Long Island, New York. And while you were on your trip with your son, hopefully to make it interesting, you try to have him come up with some problems or challenges that he might see. I don't know, maybe I'm the crazy dad. I do that to my daughter, but you know, always trying to come up with an invention, thinking about things, just making yourself aware of things that are going on around you to maybe inspire you to come up with a new invention.
You know, the best thing that happened, and I'm glad he doesn't watch my show, is that as we were trying to get out the door, he could not find a cell phone. And, you know, like any parent trying to get somebody in the car and out the door for a time travel, he couldn't find his cell phone. So he hit the road with no electronic device. Can you imagine a 14-year-old detached from the world for about 7 days? So we did so much deep thought. My son wants to be a chef. So he could have done inventing dishes. He could have talked about inventing whatever. It was beautiful to see how his brain works at that young age. So we did a little bit. We did a little bit of that. So you guys, we have guests that are joining us. We've got some on Facebook, both on my business page and on my personal page. Drop a comment in. We want to hear who you are, where you're watching from. I'll give you a shout out. Please remember that all of my shows are interactive. They become evergreen, but if you have a question or a burning question, we can get that question answered by Brian and get you well on your way to being inventor status, right? So, Brian, as I ask everybody that comes on this show, you've been an inventor now for how many years?
Over 20 years, but
20.
I've probably been an inventor since I'm a little kid and I didn't even know it.
Yeah. And so what causes you, where do you find your deepest inspiration? Like when you wake up in the morning, do you have a morning routine? Do you have something that helps keep the creative juices flowing? What do you do that keeps you inspired to keep on selling your business, yourself, your clients? What inspires you the most?
Experiences. We all have experiences, but once you're in that zone of knowing that things that you're doing, to just kind of be aware of what you're doing. That's what it is. Like, yes, you wake up, you go to the bathroom, you go eat breakfast, you walk the dogs. Like, think of all the interactive things that you're doing right away. You're with your son. I have my daughter, my wife. Like, we're just all doing things, and I get a chance to watch how people do things, and I do things. So I start to think, really, it comes from things that annoy me, Catherine. That's most of the time. When I see something that annoys me, I stop and I think about it. And you know how quick a thought can come and go. So what I do is I write it down. I still sticky notes. I got a Note 10 Plus so I can write on my phone. I send myself a text message, a voice message, whatever I could do to capture that idea. But you might not realize, like, people might not realize, and it doesn't matter if you're a doctor, you're a lawyer, you're unemployed, you're a senior citizen, you're a student, any age or nationality or whatever, everybody's an inventor. You just don't know it. How many times have you come up with, like, just said, you know what, I have an idea. Oh, somebody honked at me. I honked at you forget it.
It's gone. Yeah.
Gone. So really, it's about that moment and making yourself aware of when there is something that's happening, that you just stop and capture it. And then there's a little bit of work to do, which we can go over. But really, it's just about the experiences, and everybody's doing something. You could be working from home, working in an office, driving. Just think about all the things that you do, even if you don't even leave your house, putting your socks on, your clothes, you're in the kitchen, in the bathroom, and so many things that you do. If you even just logged it down, you'd be amazed what you do. So that's my sticking point, is really experiences, people watching, getting out there, going into the retail stores, seeing what is on the shelf that's used to be on the shelf that's not, like the ones that are selling the best. Like those type of things inspire me. I had to go to Home Depot today. I look and I see different things, and, you know, like just being intuitive in that way to think about what might be useful for others. First, you want to think about yourself and if it's good for you. And right away, it's like, oh, everybody in the world is going to want my idea. But you have to step back and think about who else might be using it. So it's interesting. It's a little game that I play in my head. And, you know, it's something that it's just kind of a formula for me. And I have a chance to do that for other people now, to help them to make better decisions too. If it's an idea that they come up with, if they should work on it, or if they should maybe wait for their next idea, and that's okay too.
Okay, so today we're going to talk about those things, right? We have a slide. We're going to go over 10 steps to make your dream invention a reality. And I'm going to share my share my screen. Is there anything we want to talk about before I share that? Any hot? Okay, wait. What was the most exciting project that you worked on so far? That was like exciting. Like I'm sure you geek out on a lot of things, but what was something that really made you like excited and geek out?
Well, I mean, I have my babies here. I have my inventions that I've come up with. Yeah, I can't really leave any of them out because they're supposed to be equal. But some have made more money than others, and like you mentioned, some I've licensed to earn royalties from, and others I've manufactured, and I started my own business with manufacturing and distributing on my own in different distribution channels. But yeah, it's I mean, I have like something simple like when you go someplace or even to a party and people kind of scoop their hands to get like potato chips or pretzels or whatever.
Yes.
Skeeve me
A
out.
germaphobe has a hard time with that, right?
Yes, I did. So I came up with I wanted to replicate like a scooping thing. So I came up with a like a scoop, like a sphere that you can scoop up and then you can eat from. And then I thought it would look cool to have a face on it. And then all of a sudden I have Elmo and Cookie Monster that are snack containers that we're selling in Walmart and like all the major retail drugstores, supermarkets. So like just something as simple as that. And just again, because it was something that I didn't want to see other people doing. And this one is called Pull Ties. It's a bag sealer. I have, here's a sample of it right here. So you take any plastic bag, cereal bag, freezer bag, and you put it through the loop, and then you pull it, and it seals it tight. So I was on QVC with these for many years, and they're still continuing to sell. I have a collapsible egg tray. People always are kind of intrigued by this one. So
that one's wonderful. Yeah, for sure. You get so tired of 2 eggs in a 12-egg container taking up so much room.
Right. So I call this one Extra Space, EGGS.
Oh, that's funny.
And then
witty.
Thank you. And here's another one, like this one's on the Farboy Pro. So basically like a set of regular tongs, and you pull the top up to lock it in place so it's not open like this. What I did was I put grooves in it. So now if you're buying a set of tongs, you have the option to have small, medium, and large opening for the same price. So these are adjustable tongs. I have a lot. I have over a dozen patents. But I'll tell you, Catherine, many years now, I've really had a chance and been inspired by other inventors or people who have a great idea to be able to help them through the steps of commercializing their ideas. And like I said earlier, a lot of them, which is okay. I'm kind of the guy to tell it like it is. Mm-hmm. If you come up with this great golf ball, and I've said this a couple of times, but you're somebody that plays golf and you came up with an amazing golf idea and you're at the golf course, you're going, whoa, look at all these people that play golf. Everybody in the world plays golf. I'm going to be a gazillionaire. But then when you step out of the golf course, you go to the movies, the restaurant, this, that, the other place, and you ask people, do you play golf? Do you play golf? Do you play golf? No. Okay, maybe one. So realistically, I help people to realize like the window of opportunity. Like, here's your opportunity. How many people play golf? I know when you're there, everybody plays golf. But realistically, you might be here, and that's okay. There's still an opportunity. But how many golf balls are out there? And is that something different? And are you going to get the word out enough to compete against those golf balls? And then you have to make some decisions, which we're going to go through in the steps. Is it something that you're going to want to put your time, money, energy, and effort into to see some kind of return on it? And that's the whole idea. I mean, you feel good, and everybody gets very into what they come up with and very emotional.
They're passionate. It's their baby. Well, yeah, it's their baby. It's the best thing since sliced bread, right? That's where the saying comes from. Yes.
Right. And you're an inventor also, and you know the feeling. So when you come up with something, you just get like this like unbelievable feeling. But what I help people do is to kind of separate the emotion from the business and help them to make those better decisions. And as painful as it is, it'll be much easier on your wallet when I tell you to stop and wait for your next idea. And if that's good, there's some steps along the way to be able to get there. But, just having the experience of doing this over and over again in practically every industry that's out there, I can help people to really take their idea and make it reality.
Okay, so let's get to the slide that you were so kind to prepare. I always have my guests do that because it helps me stay on track, not so much them. So let's start at the beginning and see if I can make this larger for us.
Well, it's a good thing, right? They have magnifying glasses for that. Sorry about
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just jotted down some quick thoughts here of kind of like, and listen, every idea and every person can have a different path. It doesn't have to be in this particular order, but for the most part, you're coming up with the idea you want to start with in your head. And like I said before, capture it. I don't care. Like you've heard about putting an idea on a napkin. So put it on a napkin, text yourself, email, leave a voice message, whatever you got to do.
I have my book. Let me just grab I'm like one of those people, right? My brain doesn't ever stop. And I have this leather bound journal that's so funny that I've had. And the name of it is IOTD, Idea of the Day, right? And it was, what's the idea of the day? And there's so many things I thought I was going to make in here that I journaled and I wrote down. So yeah, have someplace where you keep it all. That's a great idea.
But so when you capture it, it's really about, look, when I said number 2, attempt for intellectual property, really it's about searching, okay? We are so lucky. Like when I first started, and I'm making myself really old right now, it wasn't that easy to figure out all this stuff and to even make a 3D print, which we'll talk about in a second. But when you come up with the idea, you might come up with a great name for it while you're driving home or till you get to the computer. But really, it's not about the name. Talk about like this description of what you're coming up with, okay? Like collapsible egg tray, like snack container to scoop, whatever. Come up with generic terms. And when you do that, when you go on Google search, for example, and you put in, a pen with a light on top, light with a pen, LED on top of a pen, whatever you're coming up with, be descriptive. And then on Google or any of the search engines, there's video, images, news, all that. So click on it because we're all visual and we don't want to click on a million websites right away. But let's do a visual search to see if it's already out there. And Catherine, this is one thing that is unbelievable. When inventors are searching, because I've sat next to them and they said, oh, my idea is not out there. They search with their eyes closed. So because they don't want to find it. And I understand where they're coming from. You want this to change your life. But at the same time, you want to be real. So if a million of them are out there already, then you have to think twice before you move on. And there's ways to make money with what you found, but you also want to make sure that you're not infringing on somebody else's intellectual property if you're making the same thing. So the search, I can't stress enough. That is the ultimate, like Catherine, I speak to people that are already making prototypes and talking to people about investing and everything else. And in 2 seconds, I find their idea online. And I said, is this yours? Are you kidding me? It's out there? I've been searching for weeks and months and years, and I've been working on this. They stole my idea. Look, realistically, I don't know when the other person or company or whatever was working on it, but you really need to do a good search in the beginning. And that's all about
try to prove yourself wrong, right? Do whatever you can do to prove why it will not work.
Absolutely. So be real. If it's out there, then you have some options, but you might not be able to call it your own. Okay, so you have to make some decisions. So if it is out there, then are you infringing on somebody else's intellectual property? Then you might have a harder time giving the rights to your intellectual property to a company that manufactures and distributes, and you earn a royalty from it. That's called licensing. Or you might want to make it yourself. And if you're working on somebody else's intellectual property, their patent, then they might tell you to cease and desist, and you might not do anything. Or it's in public domain. So, for example, Catherine, you've heard of the Snuggie, right? And I'm sure plenty of people watching have.
We have one, yes.
Right. Well, maybe it's the Snuggie, or maybe it's the Slanket, or 10 other ways to call the Snuggie, the blanket with sleeves. But the point is that a marketing company came up with a great name called the Snuggie, but the blanket with sleeves was out many years ago. So the point I'm making here is that you can come up with an idea, and if you're not infringing on somebody else's intellectual property and you're not going to be able to get intellectual property, then you can still make it and sell it, and really start your own business. But realistically, trying to license it, what do they need you for? They could do it themselves. Why should they pay you? So these are kind of the decisions, and I'm kind of skipping a little bit around here, but really, and like I said, there's no straight path to this. You kind of navigate as you're going through. But that patent search, okay, so you do the search online. Then what I do is when I find things that are similar to what I come up with, I capture the URL, or I capture the pictures, and then I bring my information to a patent attorney or agent. A patent attorney can litigate, and a patent agent can talk to the patent office too, but not litigate in court. So sometimes it's a little less expensive. So I give it to a patent attorney, patent agent or attorney to search my idea compared to what I found, and then give me a patentability opinion. Is it something that I'm going to get?
And how much does that cost on average? Is that a $375 or a $675? What's the fee? Is that an hour or 2 hours of legal time? Is there a retainer you have to pay?
Well, think about it. When you're doing the Google search and you're taking the time and going through all the websites, and really take your time, 3, 4 hours, 5 hours. Like, don't be shy. Go on Yahoo and go on Bing and go on the other search engines. Put in different descriptive words. You know how much that costs? Zero, except your time. Right. Once you end up finding what you think is similar, and be real, okay? It's similar, it's okay, but take what you found, give it to a patent attorney or agent, and realistically, it might cost you anywhere between $600, maybe $500 to $1,200. Okay. Okay. That's really, with a patentability opinion, and that's how you're going to see that. And most of the time, they're going to look at prior art that's on the patents. You can also, besides going on the search engines, you can go on uspto.gov, which is the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office website, and you can search patents there and put descriptive things. And you can do Google Patents, has a great library and database that you can go and put descriptive words and start to search different patents, or you pay somebody to do it. But it's very important, because if you don't find it and you're at step 9, then you're just spinning your wheels and just kind of not sure about what the next steps might be, and you might have to stop. So I like to take care of, and that's why I'm spending a little extra time. This is the most important step to me. Making money is an important step too, but making sure you're spending your money.
You're making sure someone's not going to take it once you made it because you infringed on their patent. Exactly.
Right. Or you don't want somebody else to make it.
Right.
Yep. All right. So where are we? Okay. So once we do the search, and let's say you're in the clear, we kind of navigated through the options of what may or may not be. Let's say you're in the clear and you can move forward. Well, it's always nice to bring it to life, like it's in your brain. You drew it, whatever. My chicken scratch drawing, nobody could really understand. But thank goodness I have people that I can interpret what I'm coming up with to CAD, which is computer-assisted design. And basically what that means is that they're actually drawing something on the computer. They can test tensions. They can measure thicknesses of what the resistance is, all kinds of interesting things. Anyway, you can do it yourself, but there's a lot of people out there that can do computer design and basically take that CAD file and you can make it, and it could be, what is your material? Maybe you know that what it might be made out of, maybe you don't yet, but maybe it's made out of fabric, so it could be a cut and sew job. Maybe it could be wood, so it might be a CNC cutting machine type of job. Maybe it's plastic injection molding, so you have big tooling. Maybe it's just like rubber and it's molding. So there's a lot of variables. Metal could be bent. I mean, there's all different things that it could be. But really, when I first started, Catherine, and even if you're on a shoestring budget or maybe you have $1 gazillion, whatever it is, there's things out there that are existing already. So I would rip the crap out of things and just put them together. I tell this story, like I used to come up with my daughter's 19 now, and I used to come up with all these really cool toy products. And I used to buy all these things, and I used to rip the guts out of them, rip the things off, right? And I would show my daughter when it first got home, and then it disappeared. And I had like a closet of all the stuff that
of dolls with their heads torn off. The poor child. I don't know.
I hope she's going to be okay. But anyway.
So let's just say that you have something and you want to have a CAD drawing made out of it. And I've been through this before. Would you go to an Upworks or something to find someone that has CAD ability, and then, how good is a non-disclosure to get them to sign it? Where there's a gap right there. So where do they go to find the person that's going to do that CAD drawing for them safely?
Sure. Well, there's a few options here. You could at this point file, let's say, like a provisional patent application. Let's say you did that patent search and you do the drawing, but I personally like to have a prototype to know what it's going to look like before I start talking about intellectual property of protecting my idea. So yes, you can work with design. Like I have a network of designers and engineers, every type of engineer that you can imagine at this point. I know when I see a product or project or someone talks to me about it, I know who I can go to. But you can find Upwork, Fiverr, you can find on LinkedIn freelancers. One thing when I first started was I found freelancers. Like, let's say if I was doing housewares products, I found a freelancer that was an engineer or a product designer for a housewares company that freelanced on the side. And they understood exactly what was out in the market because they were making, products for the big company.
Already.
Making it for Paul O'Brien, the inventor. So it's cool. Like, yes, you can find people out there, and it's a lot easier these days. And there's even a lot of programs that you could do on your own. But look, for me, I always like to hire a specialist to do different parts of this, because when I come up with an idea, like I said earlier, it's a business, and I want to make smart business decisions. I want to be able to go through things and work with people that do a good job for me along the way.
Okay, so let's say we're at $1,000 for the attorney, and now we're at another $500 for a CAD drawing. Well, with a couple revisions, or is it more expensive than that?
Well, are you using a product designer that's not an engineer but can kind of scope out your design, and they can do a good job? Does your idea have a lot of twists and turns in it that require gears and mechanisms and parts and pieces?
There's a lot of things to think about, right?
Are you coming up with something electronic? I know, like I was talking to an inventor the other day, and they said, I have this, and I wanted to do this and that and this and electrics and this and Bluetooth and boom, and it wouldn't stop. And I'm like, boom, boom, boom. It's like cost, more of this, more of that. So how simple is your idea relative to how much it's going to cost and how complicated it is? So yeah, I mean, some engineers or product designers might charge you $25, $45 per hour. What does that really mean? At the end of the day, yes, it could be $500 to $20,000. I mean, if it's really complicated, or it could be more. I mean, you're talking about creating some solar powered something, tunnel, something, costing $50,000, $100,000. Who the heck knows? But one thing that I could say is that when you build up a good team of people around you, and these are the people that I get a chance to work with and refer, it makes things a lot easier. They give you great pricing, they give you great service, and I watch everything they do. So, but you could do it on your own too, just like we said, through some of those networks and platforms.
Okay.
So what's next?
What's next? I'm going to keep scrolling down.
So number 4.
There you go.
Pretty much, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people, they start off by saying, I'm going to sell my idea. Well, what does that mean, sell my idea? Is it something that you manufactured and you started to sell, and now you're ready to sell your company? Did you just come up with an idea in your head and now you just want to sell that idea in your head? Is it something that you brought to a good point and you want to sell it, meaning you want a company, like let's say if you go into Walmart or Target and there's product on the shelves and you flip over the package and there's that company that's manufacturing and distributing that was able to get into those stores. And those are the type of companies that I might want to license to, which means, again, that you're going to rent the rights to your intellectual property, and they're going to manufacture it, distribute it, and you would earn a royalty. So at this point, number 4 and number 5, I'm getting the CAD file ready. I'm most likely filing a provisional patent application, which will give me the right for 1 year to say that I'm patent pending while I'm exploring licensing and manufacturing. Or, and that's utility, a non-provisional patent application, otherwise known as utility. That's really like the functionality of what you're doing. If it's something ornamental, which I have design patents too, that's just, it doesn't really say how it works. It just kind of looks, it's how it looks. So a utility patent, otherwise known as a non-provisional patent, lasts for 20 years. Okay. And then it expires as public domain. Just like I said with the Snuggie, after 20 years, now it's public domain. A design patent can last for 15 years. And there's no maintenance fees. The other one with the utility, I know we're getting a little deep here, but it's good to know, and expectations of what you're going to spend. So that provisional could end up cost. I mean, it's $100 to file on your own. I believe that's the updated cost with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. Or you can have a patent attorney or agent do it. It might cost you anywhere between $600, and some patent attorneys or agents end up charging you up to $5,000 because they're doing the whole thing. Whether or not you're going to do anything with it during that time, you're supposed to be thinking about it during the provisional. And then by the time that year is done, they might flip it into one of those. So they might charge you and add all the claims and do it like a real patent. But provisional, you want to keep broad. This way, if you're making changes or you're talking to people along the way and you want to make some changes, you have that flexibility. As long as you're using what you put in the provisional patent application, then you can put it before that year is done. You can convert it into a non-provisional patent application and use what you had in the provisional.
Where in this list do you see hiccups happen where people get stuck a little bit, and you have where your expertise comes in, where you can help flesh it through these steps? Is there a particular area where people get stuck up? You know, I have my thoughts. As you know, I've had some things that I've seen from idea to concept to manufacturing. And my hiccups were happening in the testing, right? Where we had the idea, the programmers were doing it, then we had to put it in the product and we had to try to break it. And I'm like, don't break it again. I've been paying you for every hour, right. Don't break it again. Oh, it's broken again. And we had to keep going back and testing and testing and testing. And you can drain money. I mean, I was $200,000 into the project I was working on. So where do you see people get hung up?
Hung up on the first step with searching for their idea. Okay. And sometimes it comes in waves, Catherine. So last week, I'm working with a bunch of inventors and I help them to stop. And you know what, Brian? I'll catch you on the next one, and that's okay. Then there's people that end up doing the search and they have to prove that theirs is different. And if it's not, and you don't have the money to manufacture it, then realistically, you're trying to license it to earn royalties, but you're not going to be able to get intellectual property. The company is going to do a search on their own in their company, and they're going to realize that it's somebody else's intellectual property, or it's just public domain already, and you're not going to make any money trying to license it. So you can find out that it's not patentable, and then you can keep going and spending money on CAD and everything else and going through the motion, and then trying to license it, and they're like, hey buddy, this is not yours, it's already existing. So I get into those kind of waves. And then there's some people that as they're going and they want to put all the bells and whistles in something that could start off simple and you could build on it. Yeah. Adding and adding and adding and adding, and it ends up getting expensive. So really trying to
get that minimum viable product out there, right? Yeah. On the market. Yeah, absolutely.
One really strong point that I run into is that sometimes you come up with something that, let's say, should be on something. I went to the beach the other day. So let's say I'm sitting on my beach chair and I come up with something that would be really cool to be at the beach with. Mm-hmm. So they would come up with an entirely new beach chair for this new piece that's included on the beach chair. So they want to manufacture a beach chair and this new piece to go on the beach chair. But instead, I kind of open up to say, listen, I might not like the beach chair that you designed. You did stripes and I don't like stripes. I like polka dots. And you might like green and I might like blue. And I'm not going to buy your chair even if it had a new feature to it. So how about you try to figure out if it's something that you can attach to any chair? Because I don't want to buy a new chair, but I love your new feature. So those are the type of things where I want you to expand your window of opportunity, because if you're stuck on that one chair and you don't want to buy my chair with that piece, or I don't have good distribution for it, then you're not going to buy my chair. But maybe it's an attachment that could be for any chair, whether I own a chair and I can attach it, or I can buy a new chair and attach it, but I can buy the one that I like. And it's a lot less expensive for you with your time and money and energy trying to source and design a new chair.
And you have more people that you can pitch the attachment to, and your market is open, right? And it's not dependent on one, just like you said, not dependent on one chair.
Yep. And then it's also people's budgets. Like I get a chance to learn a lot about people, because the paths for people, like I could talk to a gazillionaire that could buy out one of the companies that they want to try to license to, because they don't want to start their own business. So maybe they want to just earn royalties, or they want the experience of bringing a product out to market. And then there's people on a shoestring budget that want to manufacture. So what I help people to do is figure out, like, tell me who you are and what you're about. And then the next thing is the fork in the road. Are you going to license it, or are you going to manufacture it? So what I help people do is I understand who you are and what you want to do in your product. And then I'm going to explain to you what licensing and manufacturing are. Manufacturing, yes, there's most likely going to be more money, more risk.
Lots of things to think about, right? How big of a run are you going to do? What kind of shipping is going to happen? Are there any pieces that are going to get put into your manufactured end product that might be on back order that you have to find? What's that quantity? There's so many things, right, to think about when you start to go down that road.
Yes, there's all the logistics and yes, packaging, shipping, receiving, warehousing, everything. Okay, even the returns and the people that use the 20% off coupon at Bed Bath & Beyond, you're responsible for. So you lost your margin there. I'm just saying, like, all those type of things you have to think about. But yes, the risk is greater. The reward could be greater. You end up finding a good licensee that has good distribution in retail, and those royalties really add up. So that fork in the road of making that decision whether to license or manufacture is really important. And then to go back to where you are and figure out what you need to get there. And that's really the prep work of making that kind of decision on which way to go. And you took the way of manufacturing it, and it's something that takes some time to set up. But once you set it up, it's just like ordering something on Amazon. Like, it's just a reorder, the routine of it's going to your warehouse or going to a fulfillment center, and just kind of knowing all the logistics of what needs to go. And hopefully you get orders. These days, Catherine, to be able to manufacture your own product and sell it, you don't have to be in a major retail store to make money. Like, there's so many new options for people out there with new products. You could be on Amazon. You can have your own website, do social media.
eBay, Facebook ads. You can warehouse it yourself, and then you have to pack and ship. Like, there's a lot of things.
Or you have somebody pack and ship for you, a distribution center, like, or fulfillment center. There's so many variables, but you know what? Anything is possible if you put your mind to it. You have to just, in the beginning, you have to just make those decisions to navigate through, and that's what I love to do. And I still am talking to people one-on-one to be able to help them to make those and guide them in the right direction. And I tell them like it is.
Well, I'm happy they would have you. I did work with some people that walked me through some of it, but just because they help you, when you get one-on-one with the manufacturing plant, there's things you don't even know. You don't know what you don't know to be able to make an informed decision on which way. Are you going to do the silicone spray? I don't know. Do I need the silicone spray on my chips? I don't know if I need it. Is that extra money? It's $1. I don't need the extra buck. Or throw it on. I don't need the extra buck. And then it causes another problem. I mean, there's just things you don't know, especially if you're creating a new widget, right? Not a similar product, but just something that's absolutely brand new.
Right.
There's a lot. There's a lot.
Right. The first time you come up with something, of course, it's going to be difficult. When you have something wrong with you, you're not sure, you go to a specialist. And yes, you have somebody to help you that's kind of been there or have seen it before to navigate you through the right way. Something you mentioned before, Catherine, and it's really important because, look, in any industry, you can end up getting yourself into something, and especially something like this. We said it's a very emotional decision. So you can tell somebody your idea, and you're not obligated to work with them. You want to be able to work with somebody that is in your budget, that you connect with, that has the experience. You get your references, do your due diligence. It's like anything else. Like you want to hire somebody to do construction in your house. You want to get references, you want to do all that, and you want to see their work. But when you have this idea and you have this emotional experience, like you feel like you tell somebody your idea, now you're committed or obligated to them. Make the decision as a business person and a potential business person, and not an emotional decision. And you'll see how much of a difference you look at your idea, and especially when it's starting to get into your wallet. And look, I've come up with ideas on a shoestring budget. Like I don't have it with me. I brought it upstairs because we needed it. But I just came up with a couple months ago, especially during COVID, like everybody, paper towels were a thing, right? And toilet paper, but let's say paper towels. So I was going around to, my family's houses or whatever, and especially mine, I was looking, and the top of the paper towel roll was disgusting. It was like dirty with tomato sauce. I hope my wife doesn't get mad. Maybe it was me. I never put the sauce on and I didn't tell anyone. But anyway, or it gets like you're washing your hands, using paper towels when you wash your hands, or they're dirty. So you put your hand on top and you pull the sheet off, and your hands are wet or dirty. So I came up with this paper towel topper. It's like this clear piece that goes into the inner tube of the paper towel roll. And now anytime you pull a sheet of paper towel, your hands are on top, so it keeps it from getting wet or dirty. So I'm just saying, like, that kind of routine, to be able to just come up with something inexpensive, hammer it out with some prototypes, test it. It's really inexpensive to make prototypes these days, and then just test it, and then just find a factory, get some quotes. But I'm saying, like, once you get into the groove of doing this, it becomes a lot easier. So the first time,
I'm sure. Do you do camps with people? Camps, mastermind classes, like let's come up with an idea, or do you do anything fun like that, like teams of 4? All right, let's come up with an idea. Do you do some fun things like that?
Well, I have worked with plenty of like families and people who got together with their friends, and yes, I have. But a lot of times people, when they come up with something, they kind of selfishly want to keep it to themselves because they don't want, until they end up needing some extra help. But look, yes, I've worked with mother-daughters, and I've gotten great things happen for those type of, like mother-daughters, and like it could be anybody. You can be a student and have like, a group of students together. But a lot of times it's one-on-one, and then they have their spouse or they have their kids come on, and it's cool. Like,
it's fun, I'm sure.
This business of inventing does not discriminate, and you can make it into a group thing. You can keep it for yourself.
Let's go back to your slide because we're about to wrap the show, and let's make sure we didn't leave anything out. I think we were on 5, 6. I think let's talk about those.
Sure. Well, you decided to license, so you're going to have a prototype. You're going to have a good video. You're going to take some pictures. You're going to go find some of the top companies that are out there to see if they want to rent the rights to your intellectual property, and you align your product to their product line. They would manufacture it, distribute it, and you would earn a royalty. And then sometimes they want the CAD file too, to make it easier, so they could just transition right into getting into your product and producing it, and you earning royalties. the other side is to manufacture. So what does it take? Well, you're going to need some packaging and sell sheets, and you're going to need sell sheets are really about like how
Sell
many
slicks,
pieces,
yep,
right?
all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Right. How many pieces are in a carton, barcoding, all these type of things. So,
Yep.
and then you have to figure out what your distribution is. Are you in a boutique store? Are you in a mom and pop store? Are you in mass retail? Do you have the margin? So there's a lot of different variables to figure out what distribution channels you might want to go into. And then it's really about just increasing your opportunities. Number 8, like you want to get the word out. So you have social media, you have doing a press release. There's all different types of press releases out there these days, but you want to be able to get the word out, to be able to get some exposure, get on some TV stations, find your local anchors, and just connect up with people. And then you get to enjoy the process. So when you're coming up with something along the way, you'll probably come up with a lot of things. And then when you're making money on this one, you'll want to work on some other ones. But I have a quick story to that. Like, I was working on a bunch of inventions, and then I got a really good meeting, and all of a sudden, like, you know, they're like, okay, this one good in 6 months, this one good in you know, like, no, not right now. This is now maybe this one, and then all of a sudden I'm like, and I have this one, and they're like, we want that one. So the point I'm making is that you might have a list of inventions, and you have your idea book there, and you might pick one that you feel something special about. But that might not be the one that makes you money. So you might be working on one that maybe is a single, but you might have a double or a triple that I might see differently than you, because I'm kind of away from you being so
close to the project. Yeah.
Right. Emotional again. So it's interesting. And then you get to make some money. So you're earning royalty checks, which are always great to get, quarterly royalty checks. Hopefully they're well, you know, these things we've sold millions and millions. Now they're generic with, with dogs and cats, and sports are coming up, like all kinds of fun stuff. Some are singles, and that's okay. You manufacture, you have some money coming in from that. And look, you can turn a hobby into a business, or you could keep it a hobby, and that's okay too. But one thing, Catherine, is that there's no greater feeling. Bless you. There's no greater feeling. There's no greater feeling when you come up with something and people buy it for the same reason that you came up with it, and you watch them use it. That to me is gold. That's priceless. And that's why I do what I do, and I help people to do the same thing.
And it's all beautiful. And I hope that you guys found value in this show today, because everybody has an idea, right? Everyone has an idea. Let's start getting it out to the world and sharing your bigger why and sharing your bigger cause, and leave a legacy for your kids, right? Show them that you can actually follow through with something. There's so many lessons to be learned in invention and thinking the process through and everything that is. It's really good training for a strategic brain, I think. And I like the fact that you can just keep plugging them in. I have PTSD from my invention. I'm not quite ready to go back down that. My savings account isn't quite full enough yet to get back into it. But it was fun. I learned a lot. I met some great people, and it was a lot of fun. So,
good. Well, everybody's an inventor out there. You just don't know it, or maybe you do. But this time, hopefully this information makes you aware of it. And Catherine, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And everybody just keep on inventing. That's what it's all about.
We have inventorsmart.com, which is people can find you. I'm also going to type here your name, brianfried.com. So you guys, the websites where you can find Brian are in the show notes. Also, if you're watching on LinkedIn, I did give you the link to pull down this slide, and I'll also put it in the show notes for people as well. Let me just grab that so that I can share it with everybody.
I appreciate it. And please connect up and reach out to me. I speak to as many people as I can. I get a chance on Inventor Smart. You could see all the different websites that I have out there. National Inventor Club. I have an e-learning course called Inventor Class. Learn how to make money with your invention. I host a Got Invention show, which airs on some major networks, which I'm really excited, where I get a chance to interview inventors, everyday inventors that just want to get the word out. So I'm all about getting the word out, giving the right information out there, and helping as many people as I can to hopefully do something with their idea and change their life. That's
Absolutely. So if you guys are thinking about the Great Resignation and you've got that idea up your sleeve, reach out to Brian so that he can help you launch it right, and you can be the next inventor, right? We'll get you on Shark Tank if that's where you want to go. All right. So thanks everybody for tuning in to the Art of Inspired Selling. I hope we've inspired you to come up with a new way to sell today, a new project, a new product. And as always, tune in next Wednesday where I'll bring to you the next guest where we can help inspire you to not just survive, but to thrive in the new normal. So everybody have a wonderful afternoon. And thank you so much for tuning in for the show. Brian, stay on. We're going to end the stream. Take care, everybody.